There it is. Oh,
Are you ready?
Butterflies every time with this.
Oh, I feel a bit nervous. We might be sick this time.
Go on then.
Hello everybody and welcome to What Culture Football News Coaster, the What Culture Football news show, which we have a gimmick now, where we're on a roller coaster. My name, of course, is Adam Clery, joined by Adam Nicholas.
Hello.
Say hello, Adam Nicholas.
Hello, Adam Nicholas. That's
Coming
me.
up for you today, we have some exciting news. Looks like Tottenham are going to sign an attacking midfielder, and an expensive one at that.
They are indeed. And also, Crystal Palace are set to sign another player to add to Gary Cahill.
DC United have replaced Wayne Rooney, possibly with a slice of high banter.
Guess who's dead?
Dead?
Eh?
Dead?
Well, nearly dead.
Nearly
Retired.
dead.
Same thing.
Anyway,
Same thing.
coming up first, we have...
We do. Tottenham are about to sign a very attacking midfielder.
Wow,
Cleary.
that's what I've got.
Sounds
This
very
is
interesting.
a different story.
Oh, look, a completely
it's a different story to mine.
It's different, but the same. Apparently, Tottenham are in line. You can probably get rid of
Probably get rid of this bar. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
Get
cool,
shot at that bar. Yes, Tottenham are in line. They've been busy the last couple of days, or last day at least. We all have heard the stories about Paulo Dybala essentially going, or potentially going to Manchester United.
Yes.
Well, that's not happening now.
Apparently
not. He's going to Tottenham, or certainly is in talks.
To Tottenham?
To Tottenham. They've had a £64.4 million bid. I know, very specific. Bid accepted for Dybala. However, they still haven't agreed personal terms, and it's believed, because he's got a load of complicated things in his contract, one of them specifically, which seems like it might be a bit of a stumbling block, is it's personal image rights that he's got, which seems to be a complicated thing that might be the thing that put a bit of Manchester United off. However, the other big stumbling block they have is that they don't have the money, apparently. Or certainly they're going to need to get rid of players to make that happen. And potentially, it could depend on the futures of Danny Rose and Christian Eriksen.
That's
Indeed.
interesting. That one, obviously, the Dybala story has rumbled on and on and on and on and on. First, he was going to go here, he was going to go there, he was going to be part of the deal to take Lukaku to Juventus. And now, then he was just going to go to Man United in his own right, and he'd apparently signed the contract with them on Monday. But then yesterday, we heard that he was actually going to go to Arsenal, but then apparently Arsenal were never in for him whatsoever. And today, he's going to Tottenham.
Apparently
Where do you think he's going to be going tomorrow, Adam Nicholas?
I don't know, but it's
Wolves?
all become a bit of a debacle, wouldn't you say? It's been a bit mad. That can't claim that. Definitely nick that from a newspaper headline from somewhere. But this is interesting because we have gone all over the way.
Spurs would be a mad one, wouldn't it, really?
Spurs would be a strange one. I guess I feel like he would fit maybe more. We reported about this a little while ago, right back before the saga was really starting. And we just were trying to picture him alongside Harry Kane. And if he would get straight into that team, or would he?
It's an odd one
because they've got a solid front three when you think about it.
Dele Alli had a bit of a drop last season. Certainly, he was still playing very well, but the high standards he set the 2 seasons before, he wasn't quite matching that in terms of your goals and your contribution. And Spurs did in parts of the season struggle. I remember when Kane was injured, there was a lot of talk like, where are the goals going to come from? And he did Son to really step up play.
And he did.
Out of position and maybe a little bit above his own level to do that for them. So they kind of went through that. So another goal scorer from midfield, especially that behind that striker, would be great for them. Again, all these question marks are still over whether or not Dybala would be any good in the Premier League. So to throw that kind of money, if they apparently haven't got it just down the back of the sofa, would be...
And to get rid of someone like Christian Eriksen, arguably one of their better players.
It's an odd one. Obviously, we've heard a lot of talk about Eriksen going to Man United. Again, maybe the opportune time for him to do that was about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And, sorry to Man United fans watching this, but is that a step up for your career?
If at the moment...
You're going out with the Champions League.
Tottenham feel like more of a definite quantity at the moment than Manchester United, don't they? They feel
Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to... Man United's arguably a more illustrious club than Tottenham in the grand scheme of things. But
the lure of Man United. But I would say Tottenham, as it stands, have got a better squad. They've got a better overall thing going on. And the last couple of seasons, they've outclassed Man United entirely.
Speaking literally as Christian Eriksen, according to your boyfriend, I would rather stay at Spurs than go to Man United. But you never know, he might just fancy a new challenge. Speaking of Tottenham Hotspur, buying players out of seemingly nowhere.
There we go.
The Philip Coutinho story
Interesting.
rumbled on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and he was going to leave Barcelona and he was going to go to PSG maybe, and he was going to go here, he was going to go there, he was going to go back to Liverpool. There was even talk of him going to Arsenal at one point, but no, apparently he is going to Tottenham. Apparently today, Barcelona, realising that no clubs are going to meet the excessive valuation, or basically no one's going to give them the money back they paid for him 2 years ago, have decided they would be willing to allow him to leave on loan, if nothing else, to take his huge wages off the books. And apparently, Mauricio Pochettino has rang the lad up and said, hey,
Oi, oi.
hey, remember those 12 games you played for me at Espanyol where you scored 1 goal? Yes, I did my research, thank you very much. Why don't you come and rekindle some of that magic, that spark, at Tottenham? And according to Sky Sports, they are now the favourites to land him. Now, if you thought the Dybala one to Spurs was out of nowhere,
Indeed.
the Coutinho one is even further out of nowhere, isn't it?
It is. Interesting, I think the loan move was always going to be the way, because Barcelona still wanted 103 million euros, I think, or something like that, which is nuts considering he hasn't had anywhere near the kind of season he had at Liverpool before he made that big money move to Barcelona. I think you could all say he's probably been a bit of a Philippe Philop over in Barcelona. You can have that one for free.
Pew, pew.
Pew, pew. But yes, I mean, do they need both of them?
I would say, if I was a Tottenham fan, yes, why not? Let's buy all the really good players. And keep Eriksen. I don't think they need all of them, but if you can get both of them, why wouldn't you?
It can't hit. And I suppose there's no real risk with Coutinho if it's a loan deal either.
Yeah, I mean, we've covered the Coutinho thing in depth already in all these news videos this summer, and every time I've done it, I've gone back to it and I've pointed out that he got 53 games for him at Barcelona last year. Now, I know he's not overly popular with the fans, kind of a similar situation what Bale's got going on at Real Madrid. He's not really settled there. He's not clicked with his team. For whatever reason, it hasn't felt like it's worked. But if he's still getting 53 games a season in a side that is playing very well and winning things...
Probably playing 80 or 90 games.
Disaster.
They're probably playing 80 or 90 games in the season as well. So
80 or 90 games in a season?
Yeah, but you think about all the competitions that Barcelona end up in. And the amount of legs they do in the Spanish Cup.
That's up there with 30 to 50 feral hogs for me.
I'm telling you, 30 to 50 feral hogs.
Well, he's certainly getting a fair slice of the action over there, let's say. So, I mean, if it's not working for him, he was excellent in the Premier League. No question marks over his suitability in this division. But if he was available on loan, and you're Liverpool, and you've not really strengthened this summer, and maybe because there is talk that Liverpool are putting the money aside to invest a bit more next year, and after their spending last season, they kind of need to sort of curb it a bit. If there's a loan deal on the table for a former player,
I think it would be easy for him because you can't guarantee it, but there'd be a very good chance he'd be able to slot back in Liverpool in terms of he knows the city, he knows the manager, he knows the team.
Very different system they play now to when he was away, but he has played deeper at Barcelona, hasn't he?
A different system, but I think more just familiarity.
He would definitely have something to offer.
Bit easier transition than going straight to London.
Bit of an odd one.
Indeed.
But speaking of a transfer that makes perfect sense for all parties concerned.
You don't even need to do your own segues. You just get them done for you. Because Crystal Palace have been back at it again. They obviously signed Gary Cahill. We reported about that. They have now signed James McCarthy from Everton.
Easy mistake to make.
Easy mistake to make because McCarthy's already at Crystal Palace. It's all the same. They're all just the same player, just out of a factory, I think, pretty much. Just missed the Y.
It's a good buy.
An S. A very good buy. Very good buy. They've bought him for £3 million, which is a very
doing some business in his market. Cahill for now.
Cahill for nothing, for $3 million. And also you got to think, you think he had 1 year left on his Everton contract. Given the inflation that we've seen on people's transfer fees, $3 million is a steal. He's yet to do. He's got to go and do a medical and personal terms today, we're being told. So that's
possibly by the time this video goes out, he might have already signed.
He may well have already.
It's a weird one, that, because I know Everton. I know he's been in and out with the side, partly with form, partly with fitness, partly with competition. I know Everton have again strengthened in the summer, but he's a good player. He's useful, if nothing else. I know they've got Delphin, who's probably the natural sort of person who's going to take over that role, but I don't know. I presume Everton fans will watch this and say, no, it's definitely the time for him to leave. But watch him purely from the outside, not a Goodison Park season ticket holder.
True.
Seems like an odd one to let go for pittance.
I think he's got that. He's very similar in sort of mind to me as James Milner. He's kind of a great player who doesn't really get as many plaudits as he probably should because he doesn't do super flash stuff. He does the graft, and he's a very good player in that regard. So maybe a very good sign for Crystal Palace.
You never know what you're going to have with injuries or with fitness or whatever going on this season.
And interesting that Everton, because there was worry that Delph might be injured because he hobbled off in his last game in a pre-season and he couldn't make it off the pitch by himself.
You can only assume he wouldn't be getting in the team either way.
Well,
or he's asked to leave.
Yeah, maybe he's asked to go.
All the best to him. Crystal Palace assembling a nice little team of just
very quietly putting together a nice little quiet team there.
A team of players who know the Premier League as well.
You could argue that.
Speaking of players who know the Premier League,
boom.
Not my best one, that one. You may remember yesterday reported that DC United were letting Wayne Rooney go. The deal has since been confirmed since our video is going to be joining Derby County in January as a player coach under Philip Cocu. A mad one that, but does of course fit with Derby's policy of signing players from England's golden generation back from MLS after Ashley Cole and Frank Lampard and technically Darren Bent, you could say, although he was in MLS at the time. Anyway, I digress. They obviously have this big hole in their side. They have their salary cap.
They do.
Their designated player, I think it is in MLS, that they can bring in. And it looks like they're going to be going for Mesut Özil.
Mesut Özil.
Apparently initial talks, formative, explorative talks have taken place between Özil's representatives and DC United to be the player who goes in there and fills Rooney's rather, you would imagine, wide and not overly pleasantly smelling boots. The only stumbling block...
That's how it works.
The only stumbling block, apparently, is the wages. Because he's currently on something like £350,000.
A silly bit of money at
And
Arsenal.
even, I'm not totally sure the way the whole designated player works. I know the league pay a proportion of the wages to help attract bigger players. But even then, £350,000 is probably not going to be realistic there. So Özil's going to have to do some kind of jimmying, some kind of negotiating to get himself over there if he wants to go. Some Jimmy pinging. I would say this probably makes a lot of sense because we've looked at Arsenal front-loading their team and it's just... wild, isn't it? Someone's going to have to make way there.
There was a spell, wasn't there, where they bought like 6 or 7 of the same player and they just had them all and they couldn't put them in the team because they all did the same job. I think Özil's the kind of player, I mean, in terms of quality, you've got Wayne Rooney, what he brings to the team. I think he was obviously the way he could play. Özil can bring that, and I'd like to see him just look like he was interested again, Özil, because I feel like these last couple of years, he's kind of had hit and miss seasons with Arsenal.
We said this about Rooney when he went over there. He looked reinvigorated for the first time. He looked like he was having the time of his life. He looked like he was having a kick about with his mates and having the most fun ever. It would be nice to see Mesut Özil go over there and have a smile put back on his face. I mean, you've seen the Carlos Velas over there, the Giovanni Dos Santoses. MLS loves this kind of like attacking number 10 flair player. It would be really good to see Özil go over there. Although, I imagine a lot of people would say it's not his time yet.
I think he could go. I do genuinely think he could go to a different. He'd probably go in Italy or go into Spain and play another 2 or 3 years.
For all this talk of Bayern being really in for Sane, I'd see no reason why Özil couldn't go back to the Bundesliga and have an incredible 2 years.
It seems to me, feels like an interest thing for me. It feels like when he's not interested, he's a non-feature in a match for me. And then when he's on it, he's absolutely incredible. So. Which one are you going to get, I guess?
One of the Premier League's better players. He looked, after that World Cup, one of the best players in the world, comfortably.
That's fair.
Especially when he was at Madrid as well. I thought he was comfortably up there in that conversation.
But I feel like he plateaued a little bit, didn't he? So kind of just...
He went to Arsenal, mate. as somebody who... As a very talented youngster who then went to North London for a formative time, I can tell you it's not the place to shine. It really isn't. I had to come back to this nice small pond.
That almost happened to me as well, funny enough, now you mention it.
I had to come back to this small pond to really excel.
To really find your feet. Very good stuff.
Speaking of...
No,
that doesn't work, this one, does it? He
doesn't need to excel because he's not, and he's not dead either, fortunately. But we have an announcement about the retirement of a top striker across Europe, across the world. Diego Forlan. Indeed, look at that spit take.
It was too hot to really do it at that time.
At the moment. Diego Forlan, 40 years of age.
Diego Forlan was still playing?
He was still playing, and he has retired from professional football officially. However, his last game was last May. He was playing for, let me get this right, Kitchi in Hong Kong was the team he was playing for last. Kitchi, yeah, like your kitchen, but a bit itchy in the kitchen.
Kitchi, yeah.
And Forlan has officially announced his retirement today. He has said, that is it, I'm done. Of course, he obviously played previously for some fantastic teams across the world.
Forward, wasn't he?
Man United, where arguably wasn't his best time.
The thing is, I'm just about old enough to remember when they got Forlan in, and every time it was like game off the bench. It was like every time he comes off the bench, he nearly scores. Yeah, and he went through that really long,
and he did score an absolute raker against Liverpool, which was tip top. Sorry, Ewan, but basically he's done it all. He played for Man United, played for Villarreal, played for Inter Milan, I played for Atletico Madrid.
He was brilliant.
He's done all sorts. And literally, when he went to Villarreal, I remember thinking, who is this player and why is he scoring all these goals? Like, when he couldn't do it at Man United, he literally could not get it done. Well, he won't be doing it anymore.
No, he won't be scoring any goals anymore.
And we say thank you to you, sir, for your service because, arguably, a wonderful player in the world of football.
One final bit of news just before we get on to other stuff. This is Newcastle United bit of news. Looks today like they're going to sign Emil Kraft from Sweden somewhere. Apparently he's flying over to do his medical. He's a right back who's been described as quite handy.
Oh, is he not crafty like?
You're thinking of Emil Hand.
Of course, Emil Hand.
That's all the news today. That was the we've got a bit of an Hand find, haven't we? Some idiots think they can step to the YouTube plate and take us on.
A bit of an Hand. That's very right. I have left that off my notes, but I do know that one off by heart, fortunately, because yesterday the Premier League decided that they wanted to come at What Culture and go one-on-one.
What a sweet slice of this financial pie.
Of the football pie. And the Premier League have launched their YouTube channel officially yesterday, 21 hours ago, we're being told by YouTube. And honestly, if you're a Premier League fan, which you obviously are, and a football fan, which you most definitely are, I can't argue that you have to go over and check that out because they've done an absolute content dump where they've literally put on all of the best goals from Premier League, the first season of Premier League until now, individual seasons. We're talking like
20-minute long
20,
videos
30-minute videos here, and they've also done for all the Premier League teams that are in the league right this second, all of their best goals.
Don't go watch it, obviously. Subscribe to
Stay here,
Football.
watch this news repeatedly. And
we haven't got any of the licensing rights to show any of these things. Or
Saturday or Sunday, maybe, if you're feeling a bit bored. Off you go.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday.
Monday to Friday.
Yeah. Don't watch any of that. Should we do the Twitter questions there quickly?
Let's do some Twitter questions.
Now, I must thank Zach Holker, who I didn't check the Twitter account yesterday because we don't really get very many. The guy has given us 4, and they're all really, really, really good. In fact, there's actually loads of really good questions that we should. We're going to do a podcast later today. I'll try and get through most of these when we do them. But just a quick thank you to Darth Ramius, Nathan J. Hatch, Daniel Fothergill, and Zach Holker, who's given us a real dump of these. But This is an interesting one for you. Who is the best captain in the Premier League?
Who is the best captain in the Premier League? It is, but in this day and age, because of how I feel how diminishing the role of a captain has become, I probably couldn't tell you who half the captains are in the bloody teams at the moment. The best captain.
It's a tough one, that, isn't it?
That is a tough one.
Tough one, that, because you used to think of captains as like they were the heartbeat of that side, the manager and the captain.
It was definitive,
your Keanes,
wasn't it?
your Vieiras, your Shearers. Now it's more just more of an ambassadorial role. For the club.
I mean, look what happened with Gary Cahill, we were just talking about him yesterday. Club captain, and then 2 games the season after. Sorry, just said no thanks, pal.
I'd say honestly, maybe. Look, I know Jordan Henderson and James Milner are on a job share.
No, I'm not having this. No, go on. I'll let you finish, but I'm not.
If you look, because he's the worst player in that 11, Jordan Henderson, isn't he?
He's the worst player in the 14 or 15, for my opinion.
But yet, graft, commitment, battling, communication, and he gets himself into the side purely on his leadership qualities.
Look,
largely.
I guess he embodies that kind of player, doesn't he? The kind of
Liverpool players watch this. You don't know anything.
Liverpool fans will be very upset about this. I get it. I get why he's the captain. I understand that, and I also understand maybe why they saw the qualities in him when they were choosing him and flavouring the idea for England.
He's the most captain in the Premier League. You know what I mean? Maybe it's Lascelles as well. Lascelles is quite good, but again, Lascelles is like the 4th best centre back in Newcastle. I
tell you what, for the ease's sake, I'll give you that. I'll let you have it because I don't want to upset anybody else before I get on a Jordan Henderson.
He's still a Man United captain.
I don't even know. I don't even know how he's still at Man United.
Who's the Chelsea captain?
Valencia was the captain at one point at Man United.
Who's the Chelsea captain?
I don't know.
Hazard, wasn't it? Was it? Give it to him?
Well, he's gone.
I don't know.
Gary Cahill's gone.
Gary Cahill's gone. Maybe it's David Luiz.
Terry before him. Was it not Azpilicueta?
No, it's Azpilicueta's a good captain.
He's quite a good captain. I don't know if he's the best, like.
I tell you what the turning point was for this. It was when Man United gave Gary Neville the captaincy and they won the league. It was Gary Neville lifting the trophy. No disrespect to Gary Neville, but like the captains they'd had previously leading up to that.
I would have said, actually, I really like Vincent Kompany as a captain. I know he's gone now.
Just gone now.
Just gone.
Who do you think he'll pass that on to?
I'm not sure.
Because he's in and out of the side quite a lot.
Team.
Aguero had
David
it briefly.
Silva
Silva had it briefly.
Maybe Silva if he's playing this year.
Laporte wouldn't be a bad shout.
He might not be. Yeah. I guess it depends.
Stones.
I don't see enough of them in training, mate, unfortunately.
Who's your favourite captain? Shout it out.
That's probably a better idea.
That's all we've got time for today.
Yeah. That was a good question.
That was good.
That was a really good question.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
I will find you if I come up with a better idea and I will tweet that to you because that was a good question.
I said we did get a whole load of questions. We'll try and answer them all on the podcast we're going to do later on today. And of course to you, if you want to ask your questions, we'll try and make sure that we answer all of them. Get them in at What Culture FC. But that's all we've got time for today. So thank you all so very much for watching. That was the news. We need a catchphrase of our own. Let us know what you made of all those stories in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Follow What Culture FC on Twitter. What Culture FC, that can get you where?
It's Adam Nicholas, and then get him.
Adam Clery, Clery. It's not got the it in front of it anymore. But yes, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Tell all your friends.
And tell all of your enemies as well, because they need to hear about it.
Football. Yeah, if you like us, then tell your pals. If you don't, then tell your enemies. Don't go watch the Premier League YouTube channel. Don't think it'll be very good. That's not what we're going to do all afternoon anyway. Anyway, that's it. Goodbye.